Enforcing your boundaries is how you're being bold and not being passive. You have to communicate your boundaries. You have to tell people what you're not okay with. You have to be able to say it. You can't assume that people know how to treat you and how not to treat you. Everyone's going to treat everyone differently based on what different people allow and don't allow. Okay. What's up, queens, kings, ladies, gents, people who hold themselves accountable and people who do not jump to the defense? How are y'all doing on this beautiful, truthful Tuesday? I hope y'all are doing amazing because I am doing amazing. And if you're not doing amazing, I hope that by the time you finish watching this video, you will feel amazing, okay? So welcome to today's Truthful Tuesday, also known as Tough Love Tuesday video here from your girl, Breezy Time. Okay, so before we get started on today's topic, which is how to stop being passive and be more bold, okay, that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to give you 3 tips that will help you to be more bold and less passive. Okay, so let's get started. Before we jump in though, I want to introduce myself really quick. My name is Breezy Time. I am the life coach behind allqueensarmy.com, as well as the podcast host for the All Queens Army podcast. Yes, it's me, boo. So let's go ahead and get started and talk about how to stop being passive and be more bold. Okay, so first things first, let's talk about being passive. Why are so many people passive, and what exactly is passive? Okay, so passive means that you do not stand your ground and you frequently tiptoe around people and tiptoe around communicating directly and sugarcoat things when you're communicating, as opposed to being direct and bold and steadfast on your word, okay? It could also mean that you get a little nervous or intimidated when you're communicating with certain people, or you're being a little too people-pleasingly. Is that a word? I don't know. You're getting a little too people-pleasingly. Whatever, you're getting too of that, okay? And you're not standing up for yourself properly. So that's what being passive is. It's literally kind of sort of being a little bit of a pushover at times and not standing up for yourself properly and boldly. Okay, so let's talk about why you may be being passive and not bold and direct when communicating. Okay, one of the things I noticed is a lot of people who are passive struggle with self-confidence and self-esteem, sometimes just not feeling worthy, sometimes feeling like you're afraid that people are going to reject you, sometimes just not having any personal boundaries, or if you do have personal boundaries, you may have a hard time enforcing your boundaries or getting people to respect your boundaries. And so that means that you come off too passive. You're allowing people to step over your boundaries and to do things to you that you don't like, and you don't feel comfortable saying anything. You don't feel comfortable saying no. You don't feel confident saying no. You don't feel confident expressing yourself and saying what it is that you want and don't want, what people can and cannot do to you. Okay, so we're gonna jump right in. I'm gonna give you 3 quick things that you can do so that you can be more bold and be less passive. Okay, so here's the first one. Yep, I already said it. You have to work on your self-confidence and your self-esteem. You have to build that up, okay? Build it up to a place where you will not tolerate bad behavior from other people because you believe and you know that you're worth more than that, okay? And that you won't tolerate it. So you have to work on your self-esteem and your self-confidence, just building it up a little more. It's not to say that you don't have good self-esteem or that you don't have any self-confidence. It's just to say that you may want to kind of tweak it a little bit and make it a little bit stronger so that you feel more comfortable expressing yourself, okay? If you need help with that, you can actually go to the Life Hack headquarters. It's my private page for my very special queens. The link for it is actually below in the description. There's tons of videos, online courses, documents that you can download that you can kind of work on some of this stuff in the privacy of your own home and in your own time, okay? So let's go to number 2. Here's the second thing that you can do to stop being passive and be more bold. Yep. Create boundaries. Again, we already said it, okay? Create some boundaries, queens. You want to create boundaries, and a lot of people are like, what the heck are boundaries? What do you mean? Boundaries are basically things that you identify where it's kind of like enough is enough, right? Like, hey, here's the things that I'm not going to tolerate, I'm not going to deal with, I'm not going to let people do to me, I'm not going to let people say to me, I'm not going to let people treat me this way. Those are boundaries. Sometimes you may not even know what your boundaries are. If you don't know what your boundaries are, or you need to learn how to create boundaries, again, there's that link below in the description for the Life Hack Headquarters, because there's tons of content in there that'll teach you how to create boundaries and how to even identify the boundaries that you want to create, okay? So here's the third thing that you can do to stop being passive and be more bold. Number 3, yes, practice communicating how you feel, what you want. Practice saying it. Get in the habit of saying no. Get in the habit of communicating no. Get in the habit of telling people how you feel. Get in the habit of saying, no, I'm not okay with that. Get in the habit of saying, no, you cannot do that to me, okay? And actually communicating your boundaries is how you enforce your boundaries, okay? So if you take any of the online courses that I offer that talk about this, you'll hear me say that again. That is how you're going to enforce your boundary, okay? And remember, enforcing your boundaries is how you're being bold and not being passive. You have to communicate your boundaries. You have to tell people what you're not okay with. You have to be able to say it. You can't assume that people know how to treat you and how not to treat you. Everyone's going to treat everyone differently based on what different people allow and don't allow, okay? So if you allow people to treat you a certain way, if you give off an energy like it's okay for people to treat you a certain way, they're gonna do it, okay? You can't expect people to not do what you think they shouldn't do, okay? You have to only expect that people not do what you tell them not to do. So when you tell them and you communicate, now you're setting the tone for what's okay and what's not okay, okay? Now, it's not to say that once you do communicate that people are going to abide by it and that people aren't going to take you for granted and that they aren't going to step on your boundaries and that they aren't going to continue to try to disrespect you. Sometimes you may communicate and it still happens. Well, if that happens, that is a sign that that person that's being disrespectful and still stepping over your boundaries does not belong in your life, okay? Those are the types of people that you want to chuck them out of there. You want to get them out of there. You want to tell them bye, chuck them the deuces, okay? They don't belong in your inner circle. They don't belong in your life. They don't belong in your energy circle. So you want to get rid of people like that, or at least create some distance between yourself and people like that. You don't want to engage with people like that on a regular basis, okay? So the third tip, like I said, is work on communicating. Practice communicating. Practice having hard conversations. Practice being more bold. Practice saying how you feel directly. Practice not sugarcoating, okay? Just practice saying exactly how you feel in layman's terms, black and white. Practice it. Now, how do you practice it? You can look in the mirror. If you do this like once or twice a week, look in the mirror and actually say things out loud like, I do not like when you treat me that way. Look in the mirror and say things like, I do not like when you don't answer the phone for a certain period of time. Anything, it doesn't matter what it is. I'm just throwing those random things out there, but any type of thing that you don't like how it makes you feel, you don't like when people do it to you, make sure you start practicing how to communicate those things that you don't like, that you do not want to tolerate. Practice saying them directly and assertively, okay, with confidence and with power. Practice that, okay? Because practice makes perfect. A lot of times we think that if we're not good at something, oh well, we're just not good at it. No, chuck that. That's not true. If you want to be good at something, if you want to be treated well, if you want to communicate boldly and you're not there yet, you just have to practice, okay? Just practice. Again, use your mirror, look at yourself in the mirror and say those things out loud, and keep doing it and keep practicing and having those conversations until it starts to feel a little less intimidating, okay? All right, so queens, I hope that helped you guys out a little bit. Like I said, there's a ton of content in that Life Hack Headquarters. There's so much information there. I don't want to repeat it all over again here on these short little videos, but if you need additional help or you want like more step-by-step for some of the suggestions I made, click the link. It's down in the description for the Life Hack Headquarters, okay? So with that being said, queens, I love you so much. I hope you have an amazing Tuesday, and I hope you enjoy a little bit of tough love. It's not too tough, right? It's not too hard, but just a little bit of tough love, okay? Also, if you like this video or you found it helpful in any way, make sure you subscribe to the All Queens Army page here, okay? I hope you queens really enjoyed that video. If you want to check me out on the podcast and listen to some some real raw, super no holds barred content. The link for the podcast is in the description as well. You can check me out there too, okay? All right, queens, I love you so much. I hope you have an amazing day. I hope you enjoyed today's Tuesday Truth Bomb. All right, I hope you felt and accepted a little bit of my tough love. It's always given with tons of love and tons of compassion, okay? I love you, queen, so much. I hope you enjoyed Truthful Tuesday, and I will talk to you guys next week. Bye.